Hi, I'm Jenny. I'm from the Sewing Palace, and I'm here to show you the newest block from our Gen X Quilters Block of the Month. Right here behind me is the beautiful quilt that we have featured, and this month we'll be making this block, which is a modern rendition on the Windflower block, and it has some curved piecing in it. So I'm going to show you some fun ways to make this block and some different techniques. So if you do it in a modern colorway, that was what we just showed you, and then this is the other colorway. This is featured in batiks. You will be making 8 of these curved blocks. So sewing curves is not that hard. I'm going to show you a couple ways to do it. This is the pattern. It's Moccasin Block of the Month from Gen X Quilters. And in the pattern it will have your cutting instructions and also 2 templates. The templates are located in the bottom corner, and you're going to use template plastic to trace those templates. There is a dotted line, and you'll want to trace on that outer dotted line because that incorporates your seam allowance. The template plastic that you can use is clear, somewhat frosted, and when you use this template plastic, you can get it in either a thick variety, this is the thick, or a thinner variety. It's a little bit thinner. And the thicker one is a little more durable over time. Either way, you just need a template. So once you trace the template, you will have pieces that look like this. So you can see a curved piece and then the outer background piece. Here's our template and our other template here. You can stack fabrics to cut them so that you get the shapes that you need. So if you're going to stack your fabrics, you can layer all your curved dark pieces so that you have multiple layers and cut through them. You can also take, thank you lovely camera assistant, you can grab your template piece and spray it with a little bit of 505. So 505 is a temporary fabric adhesive, and it will make things sticky. You want to make sure you spray your template, so you gently spray it. I'm going to spray it off camera real quick. And then that template is sticky and it won't move. So I'll lift the fabric. You'll see it staying in place very nicely. The other tool that's very helpful is a smaller rotary cutter in order to cut through those layers of the curve. So you're going to cut through those multiple layers using a sharp rotary cutter and your template. You want to be sure to cut right on the edge of the template so that you don't cut it off. And you'll end up with pieces that look like this. You'll do the same with your other template piece. So you can stack and layer your fabrics. I have 4 layers here. Spray the reverse side of the template so it's sticky. Stick it onto your fabric and trim and cut. You can also use on the straight edges a cutter, a rotary ruler, so that you make sure you don't trim for your template. Then you'll end up with pieces that look like this. So once you have those pieces, the most important thing to do is remember to lay them right sides together, and you're going to find the center of those pieces. So I'm going to grab my navy and a background. When I sew them together, it will look like this. You want to align the centers, so you'll press it, and this is a batik fabric, so it's hard to tell the right sides, but make sure that you line them right sides together. So I'm just pushing that with my finger to find the center, so I'll have a crease in the fabric. I'm also going to press the background piece so that I have a crease in each of those. And they will lay right sides together, aligning those. Looks a little goofy right now, I know, but we'll align those right sides together. The other tool that's very helpful is a water-soluble glue stick. This one is refillable. It's from Sewline, and it's just a small little glue stick. So instead of using pins, you can use a little glue. So I'm just going to put it inside the seam allowance on the center. I'm also going to do it on this corner and this corner. And then once I have that together, I will push the centers together, right sides together, the edges together, and then the other edge. Now the glue is going to hold it in place. So it doesn't look like it'd be very easy to sew at this point, but we are going to be sewing along that curve. So when you get to your sewing machine, you'll want to engage needle down and use a 1/4 inch foot, and you can also shorten your stitch length. I have found that it's a little easier to sew with the dark fabric on top, but you can try either way since you have to make 8. I will align my 1/4 inch foot along the edge and sew using the edge of the fabric as my guide. You're going to go to that center point, and when you need to turn, you will lift your presser foot just slightly and pivot your fabric, watching this edge so that you stay at a 1/4 inch.
And do you engage your needle down?
Needle down is a perfect thing to use for this because whenever you stop, your fabric won't shift. So I'm just pivoting and moving along stitch by stitch. You'll see you aren't going to be doing this really fast because you're sewing a curve. So only worry about where you're sewing. Don't worry about where you're going because you'll get there as you go around. So here's where the fabrics want to separate from each other. And I'm just kind of pulling just gently that bottom fabric, my light cream, so that it's laying flat underneath the needle. You can also use a stiletto or an awl to kind of get your fabric to work its way into place. And then you'll sew off. When you're completed, your fabric will just kind of lay like this, but what happens is it just will naturally unfold and lay smoothly. You'll take that piece and you'll press it. So I'm going to go off camera and I'm going to press this piece really quickly so it will lay flat. It's recommended to press it so the actual seam goes in towards the dark. So you press towards the dark. Okay? I'm going to give that a quick press and then come back. Now, you'll see this block is not perfectly square, so you do need to square it up. What you'll want to do first is you want to get this edge nice and straight. So I'm using a Creative Grids 4.5 inch ruler. It's a square. It's very easy to see through. And all I'm doing first is just trimming this edge so that it's straight. You can see I'm going to be trimming very little off the edge. When you're done with this block, it needs to measure 2 3/4. So I'm going to turn it around, and from this curve, I will measure out a 1/4 inch so that there is 1, 2, 2.5, 2 3/4. So I'm measuring out 2 3/4, and there's a 1/4 inch reveal in the background on both sides. So when this is all done, it'll be 2 3/4 inches, but there'll be a 1/4 inch reveal in the background itself. So I'm watching all those sides and trimming my block. And there is my block. So it is cut bigger and sewn a little bit larger, and then you trim it down. When you get all done, you will end up making 8 of those, and those will end up living where the curves are. Remember, this is a 1/4 inch bigger on all sides because I haven't sewn it in yet, and you will form these little windflower shapes. This is just a solid background to fill in. Then you will be done with your block. So I hope you had a good time watching this, and I'll see you at the next class. Thank you.